The spirit of awakened boosterism has taken hold in Erie until we are veritable spirits of boosterism. Let's keep the ball in the air, get everybody doing it, and make Erie the Wonder City. It's something more potent than money, greater than dollars and cents. It's the spirit of go and do it that actually gets it done.
The city fathers in Erie, Pennsylvania had spoken. It was against this backdrop of renewed civic pride and the car craze of the 1920s that two entrepreneurs cashed in their chips with their former employer, the Pennsylvania Indemnity Exchange, and set out on their own to create the Erie Insurance Exchange and its managing company, the Erie Indemnity Company. In 3 months and 20 days, they would raise $31,000 from 90 stockholders using a dog-eared 10-cent pencil tablet as a prospectus. They were an unlikely pair. H.O. Hurt, a college-educated schoolteacher and one-time grocery store manager, and Ollie Crawford, a former brakeman for the Pennsylvania Railroad who had run away from home at the age of 16 to join the Navy. It was the roaring 20s, and everybody and his barber were gambling in the stock market or peddling a wildcat of their own. New ideas were a dime a dozen, but Hurt and Crawford had a unique sales proposition. And this dynamic duo had the proven ability to sell. H.O. had transformed a bankrupt grocery store, increasing sales by over 900% in 13 weeks. Ollie had made his mark working at the Pennsylvania Indemnity Exchange. He sold 100 auto insurance policies every month and once wrote 23 auto applications in one day. The two men recognized a good opportunity when they saw one. Pennsylvania was one of the most important markets for automobiles and auto insurance. Productive farms, prosperous manufacturing firms, and vibrant financial enterprises made Pennsylvania the second wealthiest state in the nation. Pennsylvania's highway department was setting a record pace for road construction. And with more cars on the road, inevitably, there would be more accidents. As they filled the 10-cent tablet with their irrefutable arguments for success, the Erie's bedrock values began to emerge.
And he often said through the years that insurance was the most important industry that there is because you can't get credit, commerce doesn't move unless there's insurance involved in those transactions. The purpose of the Erie was to provide as near perfect protection, as near perfect service as is humanly possible, and to do so at the lowest possible cost. And that really encapsulates the whole idea that they had in founding the Erie.
The founders' dedication to consumer-oriented reciprocal insurance, courage in fighting for that principle against all odds, and their plain hard-nosed selling ability made a compelling argument. But they would have to raise $31,000 to make it work. With just $2,000 in their pockets, most of that borrowed from relatives, they set out in a 1920 Dodge touring car, dashing from one meeting to another, talking to potential customers and selling shares in their new venture. They sounded out prominent business leaders like Ed Nick of the Northern Equipment Company, George Epp, founder of the Epp Furniture Company, and Elijah H. Mack, owner of the Boston store. When Nick asked how in the world a small local insurance exchange could survive competition from larger, more established insurers, H.O. replied, "But Mr. Nick, you don't understand. We are the competition." The Erie Insurance Exchange would succeed, and they had the figures to prove it. Estimated first-year expenses were only $11,850, including a $2,400 salary for each of the founders. And for the investors, they had the most appealing bait. The clincher was the record of the Glens Falls Insurance Company. In 15 years, $100 worth of stock had grown to $500, and shareholders received $1,285 in cash dividends without investing a single additional penny. They crammed their template with convincing market research, pointing out the stock performance of other successful insurers. Soon, all of Erie's business leaders were signing on as stockholders.
So he knew people, and he was a salesman. He had no problem going out talking to them about an idea. Crawford was a salesman too, and Crawford knew a lot of the people who were the foremen and key people in the shops, GE, Hammermill, National Forge, a number of companies here in town. He knew these people, and they had been selling auto insurance for 2 years, so they had a book of business of people that they had sold insurance to.
On April 20th, 1925, the Erie Insurance Exchange was ready to move into a 2-room office above the Five and Dime store in downtown Erie. HO's 1920 Dodge was insured on the company's 11th policy, effective on Erie's first day of business. The two salesmen sold 150 new auto applications in their first 2 days and vowed to break every record in the books. The annual premium charge per automobile, $34.
He was a person that you felt immediately was telling you the truth, but he never took that for granted. He would have to prove to you that that was the case. And so he'd go into get his sales kit out and open it up and get stuff out. I think you can sum up his philosophy, and it's know your stuff, believe your stuff, do your stuff.
In later years, the 10-cent tablet found its way into the vault at the Erie Insurance home office.
And so he took the grease pencil and wrote on this used envelope, precious document, original prospectus, in quotes, used by founders Hurt and Crawford in promoting the sale of original stock in the Erie Indemnity Company in winter and spring of 1925. Total expenditure for promotion, 1 10-cent tablet, and 3 months and 20 days of unpaid time of the two promoters. And he put the document in here and he gave it to me and said, put it in the vault.
They had the right time. They had the right connections. They had experience in the insurance business. But what really moved it along was their enthusiasm, their determination, and their vision for what this company could become.